Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Tordios, and I'm the chair of the Planning Commission. Welcome to this Planning Commission meeting. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. The parking validation machine for the garage under City Hall is located at the rear of the chambers. Following roll call during the summary of hearing procedures, we will review how the public may provide comment during today's session. At this time, if you're able, please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We will now move on to roll call. Vice Chair Cantrell.
Here.
Commissioner Borosio.
Here.
Commissioner Bendall.
Here.
Commissioner Bickford.
Here.
Commissioner Lardnois.
Here.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Here.
Commissioner Rosario.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Myself here. That's 9 in attendance, so we have quorum. All right, we will now move on to summary of hearing procedures. If you would like to address the commission, please fill out a speaker card located on the table near the audio-visual technician and deposit the completed card in the basket. There are also speaker cards in the back of the chambers and at the side entrance. The procedure for this hearing is as follows. After staff's presentation, applicants and/or appellants may make up to a 5-minute presentation. During the public comment period, the chair will call out names on the submitted speaker cards in the order received for those members of the public who attend in person. As your name is called, line up in front of the microphone at the front of the chamber. Generally, each speaker will be given up to 2 minutes for public testimony, and speakers using a translator will have up to 4 minutes. At the discretion of the chair, the time allotted to each speaker may be changed depending on the number of items on the agenda, number of speakers, and other factors. Speakers using a translator will have double the time allotted. After the public testimony, the applicant and/or appellant may make closing remarks for up to an additional 5 minutes. Planning commissioners may ask questions of the speakers. Response to commissioner questions will not reduce the speaker's time allowance. The public hearing will then be closed, and the Planning Commission will take action on the item. The Planning Commission may request staff to respond to the public testimony, ask staff questions, and discuss the item. If you challenge these land use decisions in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. The Planning Commission's action on rezonings, pre-zonings, general plan amendments, and code amendments is only advisory to the City Council. The City Council will hold public hearing on these items. Section 20.120.400 of the Municipal Code provides the procedures for legal protests to the City Council on rezonings and pre-zonings. The Planning Commission's action on conditional use permits is appealable to the City Council in accordance with Section 20.100.220 of the Municipal Code. Agendas and all staff reports for this meeting may be accessed on the city's website. Okay, we'll now move on to call to order and orders of the day. Before we begin, I want to remind the Planning Commission members and members of the public to follow our code of conduct at meetings. This includes commenting on the specific agenda item only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with the commissioners or staff. All members of the Planning Commission, staff, and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the Code of Conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, may result in removal from the meeting. This meeting of the Planning Commission will now come to order. All right, we will now move on to public comment. Now is the time for public comment to the Planning Commission on non-agendized items. Please fill out a speaker's card and give it to the technician. Each member of the public may address the Commission for up to 2 minutes. The Commission cannot take any formal action without the item being properly noticed and placed on an agenda. In response to public comment, the Planning Commission is limited to the following options: responding to statements made and questions posed by members of the public, or requesting staff to report back on a matter at a subsequent meeting, or directing staff to place the item on a future agenda. Staff, do we have any members of the public looking to speak on non-agendized items tonight?
I do not believe that we do. I'm just waiting to get the nod from John. I don't believe we do.
In that case, we will move on to deferrals and removals from calendar. Any items scheduled for hearing this evening for which deferral is being requested will be taken out of order to be heard first on the matter of deferral or removal. Staff will provide an update on the items for which deferral and removal is being requested. If you want to change any of the deferral dates recommended or speak to the question of deferring or removing these or any other items, you should say so at this time. All right, we have one item listed for deferral this evening, which is CP 23-016, V 24-001, and ER 20-219, which is a conditional use permit related to the construction of two single-story data center buildings on a site at 1657 Alviso Milpitas Road. This was originally deferred in the previous meeting and is looking to be deferred again to our next meeting. Staff, do we have any other items to defer today or a motion to approve deferring this item from commissioners?
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve deferral from Commissioner Oliverio with a second from Vice Chair Cantrell. If there's no further discussion, we will move on to a vote. Vice Chair Cantrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Barroso.
Yes.
Commissioner Bendall.
Yes.
Commissioner Bickford.
Yes.
Commissioner Lardenois.
Yes.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Myself, yes. That's 9 yes, 0 no's, so the motion passes. All right, we will now move on to the consent calendar. We only have a single item on the consent calendar this evening, which is review and approval of the action minutes from our last meeting. Do we have any public comments on the consent calendar or otherwise a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the consent calendar from Commissioner Oliverio with a second from Commissioner Bickford. We will move on to a vote. Vice Chair Cantrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Barroso.
Yes.
Commissioner Bendall.
Yes.
Commissioner Bickford.
Yes.
Commissioner Lardenois.
Yes.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Myself, yes. That's 9 yes, 0 no, so the motion passes. All right, we will now move on to tonight's public hearing. We have two items on the agenda for public hearing this evening. The first is CP 24-005 and ER 24-042, which is a conditional use permit to allow the conversion of an existing 1,907 square foot recreation building to an approximately 1,742 square foot single-family residence, including a 51 square foot common laundry room, an approximately 529 square foot addition to an existing 1,432 square foot recreation building, and removal of two non-ordinance sized trees at a mobile home park at 510 Saddlebrook Drive. Staff, do we have a presentation for this item?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Reena Shah, Project Manager for the Planning Division. This project was dropped to be renoticed from 10/9/2024 and was originally deferred from 9/25/2024. The project site is located within the Rancho Santa Teresa Mobile Home Park at the Saddlebrook Drive and Edenvale Avenue intersection. The mobile home park consists of 313 mobile homes on 2 parcels and includes 3 recreation buildings as seen on the screen, Building A, Building B, and Building C. The revised project before you includes modifications to the 1,907 square foot recreation building B with interior layout changes and door window modifications to accommodate the change in use from a recreation building to a 1,742 square foot single family residence with a common shared laundry room, an attached garage, and a driveway within the similar footprint. An assistant park manager will occupy the proposed residence to oversee the mobile home park site. The project also includes a 529 square foot addition of a billiards cards room to the second recreation building C. And according to the property owners, mobile home park residents will continue to have access to all buildings in building A, B, and C. Building A has a pool and is located near the park's entrance. The project is consistent with the site's general plan land use designation of mobile home park, and per section 20.30.100 and table 20-50 of the zoning ordinance, a conditional use permit is required for the conversion of the recreation building to a residence. Otherwise, the project complies with the regulations of RMH Mobile Home Park Zoning District. This CUP permit pertains to land use decisions only. Under this permit, we do not have a purview for rent control provisions. However, under condition number 7 of the CUP resolution, the project applicant is required to comply with all local, state, and federal laws. The tenants of the mobile home park can send their complaints under the Mobile Home Park Residency Law Protection Program to the State Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD, for any rent control issues with the park management or property owners of the mobile home park. Staff followed Council Policy 6-30, Public Outreach Policy for pending land use and development proposals to inform the public of the proposed project. On-site signs have been posted on the project frontages since May 14, 2024. A notice of the public hearing was distributed to the owners and tenants of all properties located within 500 feet of the project site and also was posted on the city's website. Since the last public hearing at the Planning Commission, staff encouraged the owners and residents to hold a meeting to communicate and to resolve issues. Per the applicant, a meeting was held in November 2024 between the property owners and the park residents. Based on the discussion in the staff report, the project would not have a significant effect on the environment. Therefore, the project is categorically exempt pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15301 for existing facilities. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission consider the exemption in accordance with CEQA and approve this conditional use permit, file number CP 24-005. Thank you. That concludes my staff report. I believe applicants are here.
Thank you, staff. We will now turn it over to the project applicant for a 5-minute presentation.
Good evening. My name is John Worthing, and I'm my family owns this property. I want to give you a little background. I was a minority partner. I've been a minority partner in the project since 1982. I had a partner who passed away 3 years ago, and my family purchased from his estate his interest in. My son and I have taken over the management and control of the property for the last 2 years, and we've learned a lot. Before we start, I want to thank all of you for serving the community, make the city a better place. Thank you. We have 3 buildings on the property, of which one I was under the impression when I submitted this in September that it was an underused piece of property. We didn't see people using the billiard hall. We didn't see much action in the laundry room. It was a very large laundry room in the building and a small meeting room. And I just didn't see people scurrying around. And we thought it might be a better use if we put a housing in there for an assistant manager and his wife and a family. And we came to this meeting, and I ran into a very vocal, upset group, and they were upset about a number of issues, and we've been addressing those issues. It's a hard, difficult process to keep when you have 314 tenants, to keep them try and satisfy all their wants, wishes, and desires in a short amount of time. We would like to continue with this project. We propose that we add on to one of our buildings and put in a billiards room. We're not sure if we're going to have 2 billiards tables in there or if we're going to have a table and chairs and one table. It's kind of up to the will of the people. We'll put that out to vote for what people want. We did do a survey. Got a disappointing, only about 20% of the people responded. But of those 20%, it was very interesting. Only 2 people had used the laundry rooms. The other 58 all had laundry facilities within their units. And that's kind of where this whole thing started, because the laundry rooms were not being used. They weren't generating any income. And so we thought if we modified those, added a laundry room, and spread them all out throughout the park, have 3 different laundry rooms spread throughout the park, that it would be better serve the community. So we're asking that this is a way we can add 1 unit to the population of the city. Not a huge contribution, but 1, and be a much better use of our facility. We did have some problems that we are in the process of addressing about the access to the existing community center. We're currently installing a key fob system so that it'll be available probably from 8 in the morning till 8 or 9 at night by key fob. And we're trying to do a number of things. I think we've improved the park quite a bit. Lately, I've been very handicapped by an issue with the homeless outside our park. It's taken a lot of my time, and it's just running the park we're kind of in a whack-a-mole situation until we get it under complete control. So asking the Planning Commission to consider this, and thank you. These have been in the office for public display for the last 6 months. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. We will now open the floor to public comment. As a reminder, each speaker will have 2 minutes. I'll start with sorry, did you have something else? Oh, no. Sorry, thank you. So I will start with the speaker cards that I've already received here. If anyone else in the audience would like to provide public comment on this item, please fill out a speaker card and give it to staff. So the first 3 speakers that we'll have is Cecilia Alvarez, Maria Alanis, and Diana Alanis. If you could just state your name.
Where is the timer?
Oh yeah, staff, do we have the timer?
So over here. Okay.
Thank you. And if you could just state your name for the record, and then you'll have 2 minutes.
Okay. I've been resident in the Rancho Santa Teresa since 2012, and previously, the pandemic, we had a clubhouse where we could, have our parties, a baptism, quinceañera, any party on the family. Before the pandemic, that stopped because of the manager start to put a lot of furniture stuff in there. Now it's crowded. We cannot even walk in to have a, like a cool day and a hot day. And also, I heard that we were notified of this meeting. I heard about this morning. We didn't receive any announcement to come because, believe me, this will be filled with all the residents and they will come to do a public comment. I didn't know about this. And I also heard that the amenities were underused. That's not true, because we used to have a car wash. We don't have it anymore. Many years ago, that stopped. The laundry rooms, we had 2 laundry rooms. Now we only have 1 and only 2 washing machines. There are more than 300 mobile homes. I know that not everyone uses the laundry room, but I personally have my own washing machine, but sometimes, it's broken and I have to use it, and I don't have, a laundry to use. And what else? The parking spaces. There's been many things that have been taken away from us. And I just wanted to let you know that it's not fair that this project is, like trying to be happening, but they took away all the
Hello, Diana Alanis. I live in Space 104 at Rancho Santa Teresa. Today, I urge you to reject the conditional use permit for CP 24-005. I live in Rancho Santa Teresa. We had a chapel. We had, someone mentioned the car wash and other amenities. As we mentioned at the last meeting, it wasn't that we weren't using or wanting to use these spaces. It's just that they were locked. Management made it very hard for us to use those spaces. I appreciate the changes that the owners have made. However, it doesn't feel like we're getting something in addition. It feels like we're getting things taken away. This proposal sets a dangerous precedent for future encroachment on mobile home communities, threatening one of our city's last remaining sources of affordable housing. If this project moves forward, it must include legally binding protections for existing residents, ensuring they retain full access to the amenities they were promised. Again, we haven't been able to use the chapel and other spaces, so I urge you to reject this proposal for now. Thanks.
Next speaker is Maria Alanis. And then after that, we'll have Fabiola.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María Lanís y estoy aquí para decir no a la proposición del dueño, ya que no estamos de acuerdo en sus nuevas instalaciones, además de que no nos permiten usar las que ya tenemos, que creemos que él está tratando de...
Sorry, one second. Staff, do we have a translator available? Okay, thank you. You can continue, thank you.
Ya, está tratando de privatizar cada vez más los servicios que a los que nosotros teníamos acceso. Y pues la verdad no nos parece conveniente ni justo, porque él no se ha sentado ni nos ha comunicado a todos. Solo ha hecho grupos pequeños y personales. No tenemos toda la comunidad acceso a toda la información que él está dando, y para mí él está privatizando todo, solamente que la manager dé permiso, pueda o quiera. Entonces, pues la verdad no estoy de acuerdo, mi voto es no. Gracias.
Thank you. Our next speakers will be Fabiola, followed by Joe. It doesn't sound like we have a translator available, unfortunately. You can go ahead, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fabiola, and I am opposed to what is being proposed. One example with the laundry room, the owner expressed that the amenities are being underused. That is incorrect. They're being underused because we don't have access. We are not being given access to them. One example was I was doing laundry one time, and it got locked before the hours that are posted, and my clothes was in there. And in our community, the flyer that the manager sends out, saying that we can always come to her door if we need any help, that she's always willing to help. I knocked on her door. I said, my work clothes is in there. Can you unlock it for me? And she was not approachable, very rude, and did not help me. I did not have my work clothes until the next morning when it was unlocked. So I thought that the laundry room was going to be open until the time that is stated, but it was not. That's just one example. The owner also stated that the plans have been laid out in the community house for several months, but we have not had access to go in there. So I don't know how they expected us to even see them. We've also been taken away from amenities like the car wash, billiards room, public parking lot around the park for our guests, which is now, there's a sign that it's only for office appointments. There are never office appointments. It's always empty. There are about 10, 15 spots there, and if there's office appointments, it would be maybe one car, but nobody's allowed to park there anymore, among with a bunch of other things.
Thank you. Our next speakers will be Alicia Jacinto, Joe Monday, Fred Gomez, and then one card here without a name. So if there are any other speakers who would like to speak on this item, feel free to come down to the podium.
Hi, Alicia Jacinto, Santa Teresa Mobile Home 216. I've been a tenant for over 25 years, and I've seen this place go to hell when I had a basket. Sorry. We had over 300 units. I don't know how many people use or would like to utilize handicap spaces. I am one. We have one handicap spaces for everybody in the park. This gentleman talked about how my laundry room wasn't used. That's BS. My husband and I, we walked the perimeter of the park, and when it was open, those machines were going. Sometimes there were people lined up waiting. He doesn't understand that most of these people work during the day, and the time for them to do their laundry is at night, and they used to close it at 8 o'clock. It just doesn't make sense, which means some people had to wait, like she said, till the next day for their laundry. They've installed these speed bumps that are ridiculous, and I was told it was because people complained about the cars speeding through there. The cars that are speeding are on Edenvale, not on our side. They're so high, the bottom of the cars are hitting. Mine's hit several times. They have these big trucks, the managers. They're not going to have an issue with that. Not at all. He talked about the billiards room. From the time I moved in, that billiards room looked like hell. There were 2 tables. One was usable, barely usable, okay? And they decided they would lock it up. So then we had nothing, okay? Again, the dishwasher, what is it called? The car washer. There's another issue. I used to use that maybe.
Thank you. And any remaining public speakers for this item, feel free to come down to the podium at this time.
Hello, my name is Joe Monday. I've been a resident of Rancho Santa Teresa for 18 years. I don't believe it's been 10 years since the billiard room has been usable. It's been locked. There's a reason there's nobody walking around the laundry room, because it's been closed for almost 2 years. In the last year, there has been 2 washing machines and 2 dryers for 300 units. It is true that they've closed all the parking spots around the pool, and then for the last summer, the pool was closed at 6. People don't get off work till 5. That doesn't seem very usable to me. I think I'll leave it there.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ubaldo. I live in Rancho Santa Teresa for 18 years. Since 2 years, everything started to change. Since 1980, the clubhouse is closed, supposed to be for the pandemic. When the pandemic is gone, the clubhouse continued closed after 3 months ago, I think so. So in the past time, we got access for read the Bible. Another managers send flyers for all people. Come, today is gonna be hot. We got the AC on. They do things for us. Since 2 years, everything's changed. They start to remove the trees. They cancel our car wash, the chapel, the pool table, bunch of things. We pay for that. Supposed to be right with our rent. There's benefits for us. And and the rent raised 3% every year, so we pay for that. So I want with my benefits since 18 years ago. Thank you.
Name is Fred Gomez, lived in Rancho Santa Teresa since the year of 2010. Rena mentioned there's buildings A, B, and C. Building C has not been available, which is one of the laundry rooms. That has not been available since I've been there, since 2010. It's being used as a storage and tool room. Building A, which is the main clubhouse, was taken away from us since 2019. Locked up, made it very difficult. You know, we would request the schedule to make reservations. Oh, the response was not friendly by management. Then the pandemic happened. The clubhouse barely became available a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, with the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And management is in there using it. At the same time, you know, sometimes we want to go in there and we want to feel comfortable to use that facility. Building C is our secondary clubhouse. That's been locked up since I've been there. And the main laundry room is in Building C. The billiards room, I used to use it all the time, but that's been locked up. So, you know, there's a lot of bad information that's being provided by management ownership, including yourself, Rena. The way she made it seem like it's no. They want to add a little room way in the back where it's dark. I don't feel safe with the kids being there once it's sunset at 5 on the winter time. Why don't they set up maybe we used to have a billiard table in the main clubhouse. Bring that back, and I oppose losing our secondary clubhouse and our billiards room, and so many amenities have been taken away. Ownership has stated, oh, we're doing so much. Yeah, doing so much and taking away from what we pay for and what we should be getting.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. If there are any other members of the public who would like to speak on this item, feel free to come down to the podium at this time. Unfortunately, it's only one public comment per person. Okay, I'm not seeing any other members of the public move forward for public comment, so with that, we will turn it back over to the project applicant for a 5-minute closing remarks.
I don't know where to start. We are trying to increase the laundry rooms. We are trying to replace the billiards room. And as far as the hours of the community center, it's been open. The pool has been open. We, in the wintertime, have chosen to close it, but we are installing, as I said earlier, an entire key fob system, so all these facilities will be open all the time for these people. You know, we came through COVID, and the clubhouse was forced to be closed. And I wasn't really aware of the severity of this problem. I was under the impression that people signed up for it until the last 6 months, and that's why we're installing the key fob system that will allow everybody to get into all these buildings and all the laundry rooms. And you know, I think we are addressing problems. Somebody mentioned the speed bumps. The speed bumps are on. They're going to be changed. They're going to be softened a little bit. The asphalt guy misunderstood what we wanted. We had just had a high-speed incident, a police chase through the park, and the perpetrator of that broke through a fence and got away. But our entry is very long, and people tend to race home. So we do need speed bumps there, but we are going to make them wider. So we're addressing. I think we're addressing all these problems. Probably not fast enough for everybody's delight, but it takes time. And I think it'll be a better park when it's all done. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, we will turn it back over to the commission for discussion. First up, we have Vice Chair Cantrell.
I'm not sure where the guardrails are on this legally. Can we consider any of these mitigating factors that the tenants are concerned about?
So you're asking about what your role is here with this planning application? Yeah, it has nothing to do other than the findings that are within the application or that are within the staff report that you see before you. I think there's been some maybe miscommunication or maybe not a clear communication to the public that this hearing is not about airing grievances about what is going, losing services, but is about the project in front of us. And so your Planning Commission's responsibility is to address the planning application, and the city's role in this sense is not to be a judge or to decide or litigate any grievances, any civil complaints that residents of the mobile home park might have with the owner, right? So I want to make sure that that's clear to the public here, that even though your comments were received, I think your comments are very just and your complaints are just, but unfortunately this body is not here to deliberate or decide those issues. The issues before this body is to see whether or not the application to redesign, redevelop the mobile home park fit within the city's standards and policies. So that's what you are all going to deliberate about. If there are any further complaints about, civil complaints about the property, about losing amenities, those are to be raised with the State Department of Housing and Community Development. I don't know if staff wants to add anything to that, but I hope that's clear to the commission, and I really hope that that's clear to the public for all the folks who came down here today.
Nothing more from us. I think you nailed it, Daniel. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We will go over to Commissioner Young, followed by Commissioners Bickford and Lardnois.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank all of you who came tonight. We really appreciate it. We take your input seriously. And I'd also like to say gracias a la gente que vinieron aquí esta noche. So, as our city attorney said, we're here to make a decision of whether to, convert the recreation room to a residence is within the bounds of the city's general plan. At the same time, though, I would like to say that, it's very clear that there's a lot of frustrations that a lot of you have about the mobile home park. We hear that. As the city attorney said, there are ways that you can address those with other bodies, not us, right? There's a city rent stabilization board. You can talk to the state housing community development that you can speak to. The first place that my wife and I lived was a mobile home. So I understand your frustration. It's hard when you own your house, but you don't own the land, right? It's a very unique situation. I know it can be frustrating. What I do hear is an applicant who I think mentioned that he took over the minority share 3 years ago. So I don't necessarily think it's fair to hold him responsible for, things that happened. Folks mentioned things from all the way from a long time ago to now. What I hear is that he's making a sincere effort to make things better. Now, time will tell, right, if that occurs. you folks have an avenue to address that if it doesn't occur. So I just want to kind of make one other comment, and that is that, you know, it's very difficult in any situation, in any organization, to make everyone happy. It's hard. Speed bumps are a great example. I worked for the fire department in my previous career. We had folks who requested speed bumps, and the city would put speed bumps in, and then we had folks that were angry that we put the speed bumps in, right? So that's an example of a situation where it is very difficult for the owner of a property to try and kind of please everyone, right? And the last thing I wanted to say is that what the applicant has stated as this single-family residence is going to be for an assistant manager and their family. I see that as a great benefit to you all, because then you will have management on site that you can go to directly if there's a problem. I would venture to guess that it's difficult to get a really competent and good assistant manager for a mobile home park if they can't live there, right? I mean, it's kind of like the superintendent of an apartment complex or even a host at a campground. You want to provide that person with the ability to be able to live on site. That's one of the benefits of the job, right? So, you know, once again, we hear your concerns and we understand, and I would encourage you to continue working with the owner, who sounds like he's trying to work with you. But our job tonight is to see whether this project is beneficial to the city based on our general plan. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up is Commissioner Bickford.
Thank you, Chair. I have 3 questions/comments. My first question is actually for staff. This is taking what appears to be a service building and turning it into a single-family home in a mobile home park. Are there any regulations about having single-family homes in the middle of a mobile home park? Because everything around them is not single-family home, it's mobile home.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner, for the question. So the single-family home is for a good cause, as Commissioner Young said. There'll be the management will be residing on the site, and it requires, per our zoning district, which is RMH, requires a conditional use permit. And the findings, that's why were made that the conversion of a recreation building, which will also hold a shared laundry room for the residents, requires the conditional use permit to make sure that there are no other major side adverse effects. So staff has not found that, and that's why we recommend approval of this.
So I'm just going to give you a hypothetical. If the owner were to come back a year from now because it went so well and they wanted to take building A and building C and do the same thing, would that be okay too?
So typically single-family homes are built by right? So the fact that they're here before you, the Planning Commission for single-family homes, is already an elevation of that discussion. So if they were to come home with building B and C, there's more things that we need to discuss. Is this slowly becoming a conversion? So we have general plan policy that talks about mobile home conversions to other uses and other things. In this specific case, it's a conversion of a non-residential use over to a residential use. So typically that land use is more compatible.
I see. Thank you very much. The second thing is, most of you, I think, were here in October last year, or at least some of you were. As I recall, it was a much bigger group of people, and the discussion that we had at that time was to go back and meet together and try to come to some agreement. and that there were, all of these issues were there in October as well. I remember several of you stating them. And so my question is actually for the property owner about, I heard you say there was one conversation in November. I'd kind of like to, recognizing that it's not our job to moderate issues between owners and tenants, I would still like to understand what happened with that. Was there some concessions? Was there a conversation? What actually happened?
After our last meeting, I met with the people out in the hallway for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and we discussed a number of matters. They had a leader who unfortunately was killed in an automobile accident in the last 6 months. Dan Brennan, he was a very well-spoken gentleman, and he and I had several discussions along the way before his accident. Then we had a meeting in November. Dan was at the meeting in November. We had a meeting with a number of people and listened to their issues. We have been trying to solve these issues one by one. You know, we kind of addressed what is the single most important issue. Parking was one that at the meeting that came out that was really the most important, and we've been working on adding 40 parking spaces to the park, which we are planning to do very soon at a cost of about $100,000. It's not inexpensive to do all these things. One of the issues that keeps coming up that I did not address is this car wash. The car wash was built, the park was built in 1966, and it had 2 wells on it. They were 250 feet deep and provided water to all the residents for free. During the IBM PCB leak, the residents at that particular point in time felt that, even though the testing of the water showed no PCBs, the residents were concerned.
Point of order.
And
I'm not sure this is relevant to the question that was asked.
I guess I'll defer to Commissioner Bickford as to whether you think this is relevant.
I don't really want to hear
Okay.
the history. I just want to know.
We've been addressing the issues, or the multiple issues. We are working on them.
Okay.
Yes, and that's why we're putting in the security system, because one of the major issues was access, and okay.
Excuse me.
If we could limit conversation from the audience, please. Thank you.
The other question that I have for you is, we discussed this last October as well. There are amenities in the contracts that these folks have signed, and do you feel that you are meeting those requirements that are in whatever contracts you have with them for the land that they are renting?
I think we're fulfilling all the contracts. I mean, we're attempting every day. A number of them don't like the manager. I'll just be frank about that. They don't like the manager. They think and I'm not saying, to me, she's fine. She's very nice and fine, but that doesn't mean she's going to please everybody all the time. But she's done nothing within the framework of the law that I could terminate her for. And some people just don't like her. And I have people that come up to me all the time in the park, and they love her. And so it's a difficult situation when.
Thank you. As Commissioner Young, I think rightly pointed out, there are places for folks to mediate those things. Not everybody's going to like everybody. But thank you for answering my questions.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll go over to Commissioner Lardenois and then Vice Chair Cantrell.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to clarify 2 things with staff, not specific to this project, but I know we had a member of the public who, spoke in Spanish and we didn't have a translator available. I want to apologize that we didn't. And just staff, for our future reference and the public's future reference, can you clarify the procedure for requesting a translator in advance?
So on the agenda itself, it says typically if you want to request translation services, you should notify us in advance so we can provide it. However, we are going to reach out to the clerk's office to see if we can get AI translation automatically. I think council does that, but we kind of want to see what they're going to do for the other commissions as well. But typically on the notice also says if you want translation services, also notified staff.
And how long in advance do people have to make that request?
Typically 5 days in advance, but we've had in the past people notify us the day of or the day before, and we usually able to get some kind of translation service or prepared. We do have the ability to do on-call, but it takes a little while to set up.
Okay. And then on the subject of notice, what is the, for this particular project, what noticing was required and what noticing was made for informing the public about the project?
So the noticing was done about a month back, and every person is sent out a postcard notice. It's not that big, it's just a postcard notice that goes out. It has back and front verbiage. So it's possible that the mobile home resident may have missed it, but every resident in that mobile home park was sent a notice.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. And I want to echo my colleagues' comments about these are really serious things that you're alleging, and we really appreciate you coming to voice that here to us. Before I was on the Planning Commission, I was on the Housing and Community Development Commission, which has mobile homes in its purview. And so this is an issue policy area I've been working on for a long time, and I sympathize with the issues that you're bringing here, and that's why back in September, I requested that we defer this to provide time to try and address these issues. So I want to clarify, I understand, as staff discussed in the report, that the State Housing and Community Development Department is the body that has the authority to adjudicate reduction service issues. Is that correct? Yeah, and then I know, Commissioner Young, you cited the city's rent stabilization board, but I believe they don't have purview over mobile home parks. I just want to clarify that. Is that correct?
So after the Planning Commission meeting, we did meet with with the attorney that represent the stabilization board, and they correctly referred us, that is the Housing Commission Board, and they would need to file with them to kind of resolve any civil disputes in terms of regards of amenities and the lease.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and I want to reiterate that to the public. The State Housing and Community Development Department is the government body that regulates mobile home parks. And, there's, from what we heard in public comment, there's allegations about reduction in service issues going back many years. And, there's concerns about there being future reduction in service. And I'm not an attorney, but my understanding is the remedy for reduction in service is reduction of rent. So definitely raising these issues to the the state level department that handles this is absolutely something you should do. And it's frustrating that we're in this position where the issues you're raising, as others have said, are not the purpose of this hearing, but it is something that is relevant. These things, the environment in the park is affected by this project, but where I'm at with this is, many of you have asked us to deny this project, and though it wasn't explicitly said, I think your strategy with that is the hope that if we deny this project, then that may put pressure on the owner to address these other issues you're raising. And it may do that, it may not do that, and we really don't know. And again, that's also we're not the venue for this. We don't have the power to rule that there was a reduction in service and therefore reduce your rent. The state does. So again, I want to say thank you for coming to us 3 times now, raising this issue, raising all these issues you've talked about. But I think unfortunately, we don't have the power to address them. And I want to encourage you to continue to pursue relief for the issues that you're experiencing in the park. Yeah, I think that concludes my comments.
Thank you. We'll go over to Vice Chair Cantrell.
I have a question for the owner or the owners group. I have a question, yeah, for you. Thank you.
I want to apologize. My hearing is not very good, and these hearing aids don't work very well in here.
I'm sure that's in my future as well. Just a quick question. Is there currently a manager living on site?
Yes, there's a manager living on site.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was my only question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, given that, actually, I'm going to actually move to decline this application because it's inconsistent with a mobile home and there is already management living on site, which putting anyone else in that, assistant manager, anyone else on that site isn't going to change any outcome for the owner. So I move that we decline this application.
Okay, we have a motion to decline the application from Vice Chair Cantrell. Do we have a second? I would consider the motion failed. We will move over to Commissioner Lardnois.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, with the issue Vice Chair Cantrell raised. My understanding from what the applicant submitted to us is that his intention is to have the manager move into this new unit, and then the mobile home they're currently living in would be on the market. Yeah, I mean we can ask him. Yeah, I mean it's my understanding from what was submitted to us, but.
Yes, if we could get the owner to come back down, thank you.
I'm getting my steps in. I need to know the question.
So I think, let's clarify. So as Vice Chair Cantrell noted, there currently is a manager living on site.
Yes, there's currently a manager living on site,
and your plan would be to have this person move into this new home you want to build, and then the unit they're currently in is a mobile home that you'd put on the market? Is that what I'm correct?
Well, we had a maintenance man living in a unit, but I think ideally so that we can train somebody to replace our current manager ultimately when they're in their 60s. And at some point in time they'll be retiring, and I would like to have an assistant manager in place. I've been kind of waiting to hire them to see if I could offer a home with a little bitty backyard that it has. And but we will be actively seeking an assistant manager because I think we need it. I think we need the coverage in the park. It's one of the problems here that we only have one manager for 314 people. It's a big job. And I think if we had more help, the services would be better for everybody.
Thank you for clarifying.
And the one other point on the question about the home.
I'm sorry, we didn't ask for.
We have two parcels.
Thank you.
Respectfully.
Commissioner Young, I briefly saw your hand. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the staff recommendation from Commissioner Young with a second from Commissioner Oliverio. Oh, sorry. Did you say you had something to speak? Could you come to the mic, please? Thank you.
My name is Joe Chavez, and one of the biggest problems at that park is the managers. They're not approachable. The lady has sworn at me. She has told me that it's none of my business. I help out at the park as much as I can. That's our home. We protect it. We protect it from the homeless that are outside the gates right there. We protect it from the people that are inside. But when we go to the management, she just shuts us out. She won't listen to what we have to say. And there's a lot of times where we'll go over there to ask what we could do, and she just throws us out. I went in there and for Christmas, and I said, "Merry Christmas," to her face, and she just turns her face. That's the kind of person she is, and that's his manager. You know, that's what we have to deal with at that park. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, we've already had public comment. Thank you. Thank you again to everyone who did come out to speak on this item tonight. There were obviously a lot of issues raised, and it does seem like the owner is working through some of these. I would encourage those conversations to continue, and I would also encourage all of the residents of the park to pursue following up with HCD on some of the questions around reduction of service, since as our other commissioners noted, that is really outside of the purview of this commission. So as a reminder for the commission, the motion on the table is to approve the staff recommendation made by Commissioner Oliverio with a second from...
Young made the motion.
Oh, sorry, with a motion from Commissioner Young and then a second from Commissioner Oliverio. So if there's no further discussion from the commission, we will move on to a vote. Vice Chair Cantrell.
I think we're on a slippery slope, and I think they're changing the nature of this mobile home park into a single-family home residence intentionally. And I think it will continue, and with that, I will say no.
Commissioner Brosio.
Yes.
Commissioner Bendall.
Yes.
Commissioner Bickford.
I think the people in that mobile home park need to coordinate amongst themselves and go to HCD and file a complaint. This body cannot adjudicate your problems. And I feel for you very strongly because my mother lives in a mobile home park. And I feel compelled by my position to support this, but I agree with Commissioner Cantrell. I think this is a slippery slope and we may live to regret it. But with that, I have to say yes.
Commissioner Larnois.
Yes.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Myself, yes. That's 8 yes, 1 no, so the motion passes. Oh, sorry. Did I miss Bendall? Sorry, Commissioner Bendall, did you vote? Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, we will now move on to the second item for tonight's public hearing, which is CP 24-029 and ER 24-213, which is a conditional use permit to allow the addition of approximately 2,500 square feet of enclosed garage space to an existing approximately 7,369 square foot office building and the conversion of the 9,970 square foot building to a mental health care inpatient facility with up to 48 beds at 913 Willow Street. Staff, do we have a presentation for this item? Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners again. I'm Reena Shah, project manager of the for the planning division. As seen on the screen, the site is located on the northwest side of the intersection of Willow Street and Chevrant Way at 913 Willow Street. The project site is comprised of 2 parcels. The easternmost parcel is occupied by an approximately 7,369 square foot office building with an approximately 2,548 square foot enclosed garage, and the combined total will be 9,917 square feet for the proposed hospital. The project site is surrounded by single-family residences to the north, a restaurant and office across Chevrant Way to the east, multifamily apartments and retail across Willow Street to the south, and a Baha'i Center across Chevrant Way to the west. The project entails modifications to the 9,917 square foot office building with interior layout changes, door window modifications to accommodate the change in use from an office to a 48-bed mental hospital. The project is consistent with the site's general plan land use designation of NCC, or Neighborhood Community Commercial, and per section 20.40.100 and Table 20-50 of the zoning ordinance, a conditional use permit is required for the conversion of the office use to a mental health hospital. Otherwise, the project complies with the regulations of CN, Commercial Neighborhood Zoning District. But the operations plan submitted by the applicant, dated March 7, 2025, and it's attached to your staff report. This facility will provide 24-hour inpatient programs for teens and adults, including psychiatric and medical monitoring, psychotherapeutic interventions, and about 10 to 15 staff members on site will be there at any given time. The inpatient facility would be a closed facility for patients with mental health conditions, including eating disorders, depression, and anxiety. The inpatient facility would not be used as a short or long-term residence and is not a walk-in or a self-referred facility. Instead, new patients would be transported from other facilities and discharged to another facility, which is an office in Los Gatos in conformance with the laws which require psychiatric facilities. So it's a step-down plan and a discharge process, if you will. And the younger, the patients that are 18 years or younger will be released to a caregiver, parent, or a legal guardian. Staff followed Council Policy 6-30, Public Outreach Policy for pending land use and development proposals to inform the public of the proposed project. On-site signs have been posted on the project frontages since September 30, 2024. A notice of the public hearing was distributed to the owners and tenants of all properties located within 500 feet of the project site and posted on the city website. Staff has been available to answer questions from the public. The project is categorically exempt from CEQA per section 15301 for existing facilities. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission consider the exemption in accordance with CEQA and approve the conditional use permit, file number CP24-029. This concludes staff presentation, and I believe applicant is here to present.
Thank you, staff.
Thank you.
The project applicant will now have 5 minutes for a presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Eugene Tillman. I'm the Executive Director of LGTC Group. We're a comprehensive end-to-end mental health services provider. This proposal is to further enhance our service offering and build within the existing confines of the existing commercial building, build up to 48-bed facility that will serve adults and adolescents with mild pathologies. I have here Charles Sultanova, Clinical Director. I know that there were questions about the kind of population that we're going to have. So I will have her answer any kind of questions. Again, this will be a mild pathology. The adolescents will be physically separated from any adults to address any possible questions because it is surrounded by residential neighborhoods. We do have outpatient offices within 2 miles, right there on Bascom Avenue, to where we will shuttle the patients to and from. Only people that meet strict medical criteria for admission would be admitted into the facility and discharged when they fit the criteria for the discharge, unless they shall so decide to discharge against medical advice, in which case they will be shuttled out if they were adults, or released to their parent and guardian if they were adolescents. We will also install a security system to monitor the perimeter, and there's plenty of parking and other amenities available for the employees of the organization, which we intend to have either 1 to 2 employee to patient ratio, 1 to 3 approximately. So they'll be highly supervised. And as mentioned earlier, the step down and step up facilities are also kind of owned by our group. And so there'll be no disturbance and no negative effect on the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now open the floor to public comment for this item. I have 2 cards here that we'll get started with, but if there are other members of the public who'd like to speak on this item, feel free to submit a card. First up, we have Lori Oseberg, followed by Brian Maldonado.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity and also your work. I live across the street from the location Kitty Corner, and thank you for the explanation that was just given. It's more comforting to know that there will be high supervision. I'm a single person, and I just urge you all to consider also that there is a project proposed right across the street from both this unit, this well, I'm kitty corner from it. So right next to 950 Willow Street. It's supposed to be 7 stories high with I don't know how many residences there. And the whole neighborhood has been really, I haven't been involved for a while, but it was quite alarming. So I just urge you guys to really look into the fact that there's something else really big going in over there too, and I'm really worried about the infrastructure and anything else, and I don't know if we can get more information about both of those 2 things in tandem happening at the same time. I don't know how that affects things, but it is definitely concerning. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Brian.
Apologies for how I'm dressed. In my little spare time, I do coach my daughter's softball game, and that's where I was coming from. Brian Maldonado, I live on Chabrant Way. We do have concerns around the types of patients that will be coming in here. The developer has stated it is for patients with mild pathologies. However, I've worked in healthcare for 20 years. Inpatient services are not for mild pathologies. Those are for very severe pathologies. And I've lived on the street since 2011. The street is filled with children, and we're very concerned on how the types of patients that are coming in and how they are going to manage that. Security-wise. On top of that, there is 0 street parking. This facility, if they are proposing to cover those spots, would only leave 16 parking spaces left. There's an apartment complex behind us that fills up all of the street parking on Chabrant Way. I've had my driveway blocked several times. And if they're doing a 2-to-1 ratio, if you have 48 patients, that's at least 24 spots that would be needed. There's no parking. And on top of what Lori said, the facility or the building that they're proposing next door, there's no parking. It creates a huge public hazard, and especially with all of the children on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Linda Ellis.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak to you tonight about this project. I live literally 3 buildings away from this project where the existing building is. Like the gentleman before me, my driveway is blocked often where I leave notes on people's cars. And I am concerned about the added square footage and inadequate parking. It's already a large problem for me. I've lived in my house for 30 years. So I would like to see this project declined. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes all of the cards that I've received here. If there are any other members of the public who would like to speak on this item, please come down to the podium at this time. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone move forward. We will turn it back over to the project applicant for an additional 5 minutes of remarks if you have anything else to add.
Thank you. I would like to add that even though we are requesting up to 48 beds, realistically, there aren't going to be more than 40 beds. And, you know, in a facility, that we don't expect to have any more than maybe 65%, 70% occupancy. If we get so fortunate to fill it up and have that many beds, then we'll definitely be looking to add additional facility. We operate similar facilities in the area. Not all inpatient facilities are for severe pathologies. In this particular case, that's really the reason why I did bring Ms. Sultanova here, because this is an eating disorder specific facility, and what really 24-hour supervision. The inpatient means that they're going to be observed 24 hours. So that's really all that the extent of the severity of these people. This is low energy people and that want peace and quiet, and we designed the facility in mind not to increase traffic or any inconvenience to the neighborhood. And this is my second time I'm here. I came here on another project, 738 North 1st Street, and I understand that nobody wants to have this type of facilities in their area. When their children get sick or take their lives, then they'll, oh yeah, we need mental health services. And it's just coming back to where, oh, nobody wants it in our backyard. And then we have, you know, especially with people with eating disorder, that's almost like an end of life. These conditions are terminal. And so they need care, and we need more of these facilities. And I assure you that we'll do our most to make it the least inconvenient to the surrounding communities and the most conducive and productive to our city, and creating jobs and creating care that we all desperately need. And I, again, urge you guys to, Ms. Sultanova, if anybody has specific questions to like the kind of population we're going to have there, what kind of services they're going to get. We've been doing service in this type of population now 5 years. And in this community, I live in this zip code. That's my neighborhood. My mother lives 3 blocks down over there on Ridley Way. I've lived in this particular zip code in this neighborhood for 20 years now. So this is my neighborhood. I can actually say I'm also here in my support of this project. I support this project as a resident. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now turn it back over to the Commission for discussion. We have a couple hands here, so we will start with Commissioner Rosario, followed by Commissioners Bendal, Lardenois, and Cantrell.
I have a quick question for the applicant again. Will this be the same type of setup as the one on Taylor Street, or not on Taylor, but on First Street, where nobody is going to be walking in and out of the building, people will not be hanging out outside, people will not be roaming through the neighborhood because they're going to be brought there and then taken elsewhere in accordance with the law?
Absolutely, yes, exactly the same. Even more stringent, well, exactly the same. But yeah, I would like to even be more stringent because it's near downtown, it's near more people. So yeah, it would be the other building is just a little different, it's more secure. It's fully secured, it has the gate, this building is a little bit more open, so we'll actually take even more precautions.
Okay, and is it true that you guys treat video game addiction?
It is true.
Okay, I could see that. I apologize to those in the audience that are going to feel the acute impacts of a business like this around their house. However, with many land use decisions that we make, the impacts, the benefits are diffuse and they're hard to measure. And in a situation like we have going on in the city, recovering from COVID, I don't think we can build enough beds to help or have enough mental health services in this city, in this county right now. So with that, I would like to move to adopt the staff's recommendation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Rosario with a second from Commissioner Young to approve the staff recommendation. We will keep that on the floor and continue our discussion with Commissioner Bendal.
So my question was for staff. Public mentioned that there's a 7-story building being built. Can you guys?
Yeah, he actually beat me to it. I was going to jump in after this. That's actually a project that I'm reviewing. For the folks that are interested, stick around afterwards and we can discuss. I have updates for you. If you have any questions about it, I don't know if this is the right forum for this project, but afterwards, sure.
Can you give a description of what the 7-story building is?
We can talk about it after the meeting, but it's not germane to this discussion.
Thank you. And a question for the applicant as well. So you mentioned there's 24-hour monitoring. Is it for each patient or just the facility?
Each patient.
Each patient, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then is there visitation going on?
Yeah, there may be some visitation, yes.
So do you forecast that the street parking will be used or not be used?
No, I don't forecast the street parking to be used.
Okay.
Because we have commercial offices. We have offices on 2542 South Bascom Avenue. We have offices on 4850 Union Avenue with ample parking space. So if there's an issue with the staff, we can shuttle our staff from our offices to the facility. Our parking is our problem. I'm aware of multifamily developments across the street, and I understand the street parking problem. We have no intention of using this street, although I do believe that we have to contribute towards the bike lane.
So to clarify, I think Commissioner Bondal was asking if visitation is allowed at this specific facility.
Visitations are allowed at the specific facility at a certain specific times, but we don't expect it to impede street parking.
Okay, thank you, that's all. To the public, thank you for coming out and raising your concerns. As you can see, I did try asking city staff on what the 7-story building is for, but I couldn't get much out of them, so sorry about that. I think there is a need for such facilities in the city of San Jose. Anybody can go down this path and anybody can need this. Maybe not now, but in the future. So we have to be mindful of that. And as you guys can see, the applicant mentioned that each patient is 24-hourly monitored with very limited disturbance on the street parking and to the neighborhood. So we have to be mindful. I know it can be different in allowing such a facility in your own backyard, but we have to be open, and everybody needs to be open. Even where I live, I need to be open and others need to be open as well. So I support this project. I'll be voting yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go over to Commissioner Lardenois, followed by Vice Chair Cantrell and Commissioner Young.
Thank you. And then, so Commissioner Rosario alluded to it, but I just want to be explicit. We had another project from this same applicant, I believe last year, I don't remember exactly when it was, on First Street, and it was a very similar, I think the applicant said exact same kind of facility, and we had people who live nearby who came to that meeting, and they raised similar concerns to some of the members of the public here. And I totally understand where you're coming from, why you might feel alarmed, why a facility like this might sound scary. But I also remember Commissioner Oliverio did some of his own research and cited multiple instances of facilities like this that exist in neighborhoods that really, I think a lot of folks just don't realize are there because they are quiet and closed off and, they're not disruptive to the neighborhoods they're in. And, I was going to say it myself, but I'll echo what the applicant said. If we let every neighborhood say, we don't want this here, we wouldn't have these facilities anywhere in our city. And in a city of almost 1 million people, a facility that serves less than 50 people is very small, and we need a lot of them throughout our community. I've had people in my life who have had, mental health challenges that are in the venue that this kind of facility serves. I don't know anyone who's had to be in an inpatient facility, but I would want that to be available to them if they needed it. I want to clarify, because we also discussed a little bit, but I want to be explicit. This facility would have discharge off-site. Patients would be shuttled in and out of this facility. They wouldn't be able to enter and leave on their own. And all treatment would be indoor. And I want to be totally clear, the conditional use permit that the applicant is required to get for this project explicitly requires off-site discharge and indoor treatment only. And I want to ask to staff, what happens if an applicant violates their conditional use permit?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, these are conditions of the permit. The way to remedy that is for anybody in the area to submit a code case. So they would submit a request to the city's code department if they see that there's a violation, and they'll act on that code case. Yeah.
Right. And if, in the case of permit violations like this, if the code, department finds that to be the case, that would lead to fines and eventually, potentially, actual shutdown of the facility, right?
It could be a modification or revocation of the permit.
Right,
if
without which
necessary.
they wouldn't be
Yes.
able to operate.
Correct, yep.
Right. And so what I'm saying here is these restrictions, off-site discharge and indoor treatment only, these are conditions of this facility doing business in our city, and if they don't follow that, they're not allowed to operate. And so I just want to make that totally clear because I think that's important to understand. On the issues of parking, one, the city has abolished parking minimums throughout the city, so that's not something that this project is required to provide, but they are required to provide a transportation demand management plan. That is covered in the staff report, but could you clarify the details of that?
So while the construction is on, there will be a manager on site to make sure that there is minimum disturbance to the neighborhood, and then the TDM, there was not. Yeah, TDM, they were exempt from TDM, but
excuse me. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for
Excluded.
clarifying. Mm-hmm. And I also want to point out that this is an office building, like the previous project was on First Street. And if a regular office tenant was using this building, they also would not be required to provide parking. And then finally, I know we've discussed that this other nearby residential project, it sounds like, the 7-story one, is not relevant to this hearing. But I do want to say we are having this hearing tonight for this project. And this project's existence, if approved, is something that the city would have to consider in evaluating this other nearby project. So that's how the sequence of these things works out. So anyways, I thank everyone for coming here tonight. I hear your concerns. I think that the way this project is set up is addressing those concerns so that it will not have an adverse impact on the community. And I support the motion it was your motion, right, Commissioner Rosario, to approve this project. Thank you.
Next up, we'll have Vice Chair Cantrell, followed by Commissioner Young.
Thanks for everyone who came today and spoke to us. I really, really appreciate that. We are listening to you. And thank you to the fellow commissioners who have such great compassion for this type of business, which I do share. However, I know this community very well. I've actually tried to park on your streets to access this very building, which was pretty much an impossibility because I was unwilling to block your driveways. The parking over there is really compressed, and people often overpark and get in the way there consistently. So that is a significant problem. So if there are visitors coming to this location, that will put additional strain on parking there. And by the way, it's like barely enough room for residents to park there. I mean, literally, it's very congested. So I'm just curious, was any parking concern at all considered here? Anything?
I mean, staff's very limited in what we can require because it's not proposing new construction and any additions is relatively minor.
Yeah.
So based on how city council adopted it. However, I mean, they're allowed to do alternative parking arrangement without having to come to us. So
Thank you.
tandem parking, any of those things, share parking, and those things, they're more than welcome to do it without us saying, hey, you can't do that.
My next question. Thank you very much for teeing that up. I'm wondering if the property management or owner would be amenable to another parking solution, maybe an agreement with the lot up the street for employee parking or something to take a little bit of that strain off the community. That's for the property manager, whatever your role is.
So we thought about it, and this project is actually spanning 2 actual APNs. So there's basically, right now, after we convert that little piece of the building, a couple of thousand square feet into livable space, it just makes sense. It's practically is already a livable space there. It's like a part of the building already. If there is a parking issue, we can actually build a little garage. We can actually build on this empty lot, we can actually build like a second story. We can actually build on top parking. So like there's gonna be, we don't anticipate to be a parking issue. Even if there's visiting hours, if somebody is visiting weekdays 11 to 1 or 11 to 12, right? Like most people are out. Nobody, I assure you that there'll be no visitation. This is very mild and staggered visitations, just because we have to have them. I have no visitations. But again, this is not that kind of acute, this is not an acute psychiatric hospital. This is, you know, where people need to, inside is going to be like a home. So we can't just tell people not to have any visitors, but we can't restrict what times they can visit. They could be mornings, it could be at the best time when there's most convenient. Plus, we're going to make sure that they're going to be able to park in the parking spots. If it means shuttling people, we have facilities that could accommodate the parking of the employees. 15 parkings is more than enough in our calculation.
Okay. Question, one additional question to you. So I would imagine you want to run a very good business there.
Yeah.
And you want to serve your clients primarily. That's the reason for the existence.
Absolutely.
Could I also assume that you don't want to harm your neighbors?
No.
So you'll mitigate the issues with parking as they arise.
Right. Absolutely. I promise.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for coming out. The folks that came out, I want to make a couple comments. One is that this is an office building. So on the issue of parking, okay, why don't we imagine a CPA moved in there. At tax season, you'd have much more people than this is going to create. And I could go on and on and on with different examples, but the point is that this is, if anything, this use has a less impact on parking than having an office building, which could have any number of different businesses in it that could attract a lot of traffic. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I just want to echo Commissioner Rosario's comments. We have a desperate need for inpatient mental health facilities in this city. The incidence of depression and anxiety, eating disorders, video game addiction, and all other things have skyrocketed since the pandemic. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which we don't have to go into. I will say that I've had challenges myself with depression and anxiety. So I would, I guess, just say that there is a desperate need for this, as other commissioners have said. If not here, then where, right? So we live in a world that's changing. We live in a world that needs more housing. We need more medical facilities. And, you know, some of us, and I include myself in this, are going to have to give up the dream that everything within, you know, a half mile of my house is going to be 1 or 2 stories. So obviously I support the vote because I seconded it. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Oliveira.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for coming and voicing their viewpoint. You know, we had this robust, substantial discussion last time this came up on First Street, and that was a traditional single-family home neighborhood, all surrounding it. We had about 30 plus speakers. It was much longer, but they had a lot of the same concerns, and I'm not aware of any complaints since that place has been in operation. And during that time, as Commissioner Lardenois brought up, that they started showing their other sites, and one was less than a half a mile from me, and I never knew. I just thought it was a house. I didn't have any idea what the usage was inside. And, you know, we really can't talk about mental health advocacy if we don't provide a place for people to achieve those services. It's just it's table stakes. And I can say many people in this neighborhood have sought these services and received these services. It might not have been obviously here because it doesn't exist, but they've been receiving them somewhere. This neighborhood's no different than the rest of the United States, and the severe challenges that many people undergo. And with reasonable accommodation in state law, cities must accommodate different uses such as this, and you could take a single family home and you could put people with severe pathologies that are unlocked, that are in your neighborhood and not too far away from this. Malone Road off of Lincoln had that for many years. And so that's just the way, if the state didn't pass a reasonable accommodation law, then there would be even fewer beds than we have today. And I would say this, there will be a visitor, right? And I bet those people in there are hoping for a visitor. It sort of reminds me when we talk about assisted living and people come out like, where are the visitors going to park? And it's like, I hope that person in assisted living does get a visitor. And I actually visit one of these facilities once a week. So I do visit, and it is what it is. It's a temporary visit. There will be someone parking on the street, no doubt. Will the impact be so severe as something else? I don't know. I mean, this same project could have been an SB 330 application, which would have had a residential project, let's say it's 6 stories high, maybe not 7, with no parking, and that would have been the case. So this is what it is. I think the commission has shared their viewpoints on this, and ultimately we're just trying to craft things so everything works for everybody. And I know that some won't be happy with that in the audience, but all you need to do is have a family member or friend who's been in this situation. And I think we've all been there. We all know someone. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to a vote, I just wanted to thank the members of the public who came out to speak on this project, thank my fellow commissioners for all of the thoughtful commentary here, and also thank the project applicant for continuing to invest in increasing our mental health care capacity here in San Jose. Facilities like this really do provide life-saving care. So I'm glad to see this facility moving forward. I previously voted to support the facility on First Street, and I'll be happy to support this facility as well. I'm not seeing any additional hands from commissioners, so we will move on to a vote. As a reminder, the motion on the table from Commissioner Rosario with a second from Commissioner Young is to approve the staff recommendation. First up, Vice Chair Cantrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Brosio.
Yes.
Commissioner Bendall.
Yes.
Commissioner Bickford.
Yes.
Commissioner Lardenois.
Yes.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Myself, yes. That's 9 yes, 0 no, so the motion passes. That concludes tonight's public hearing. We will now move on to referrals from City Council, boards, commissions, or other agencies. Staff, do we have any referrals this evening?
No, we do not.
All right, we will move on to good and welfare. Do we have a report from City Council?
Thank you, Chair. So just a couple of items to note at recent City Council meetings. So staff was at City Council on March 12th with 2 items of interest to the Commission. The first was a multifamily incentive program in our growth areas. Just as a heads up, a prior project at 905 North Capitol moved forward. So it's good to see more multifamily projects moving forward under that direction with the City Council. The second was the annual report on the housing element, which City Council approved and moved forward to HCD.
Thank you. Anything on subcommittee formation reports and outstanding business?
So nothing formal. There was one thing I just wanted to make the Commission aware of, which is I'm very pleased to be able to introduce our new Deputy Director for Planning within PBCE. So Munira Sandhir, who's here with us this evening, just joined last week, so we haven't scared her off yet. Munira joins us with over 18 years experience in land use locally. She's joining us from the city of San Mateo, so certainly encourage you to meet and get to know her. She'll be taking my spot at some point, so you'll get to spend more time.
Amazing. Well, welcome, Munira. Very happy to have you on board.
Yeah, welcome. It'll be nice to have you sitting next to us.
Amazing. Next up, we have commission calendar and study sessions. It looks like we have one coming up.
So there's one item we just wanted to make the commission aware of. So annually we approve we bring forward the capital improvement program budget as a study session to the commission. We're looking at either May 7th, which would be a special meeting date, which is currently not calendared, or May 14th to conduct that study session. So we'll be following up as part of that.
So on the May 7th, that is not currently agendized. So can we kind of get a straw poll to see if you guys are interested on opening another additional? This is a request from the Budget's Office based on their timing to go to City Council.
May 14th.
Okay. So I'm sounding that Pierluigi is, council member, you're saying, Commissioner, you're saying you do not want to open another planning commission.
I'll let my other colleagues mention it, but I think May 14th works for me.
All right, 14th it is.
Wait, question. Hold on, question. What time are these?
So the typical study sessions are prior to the planning commission meeting, so typically around 5 o'clock.
This is May.
Do we have a meeting on the 7th or the 14th?
So that was the kind of the question that, based on the agenda's office, they typically have a certain cadence they have to keep to in order to go to City Council. So they request if the Planning Commission was willing to open a new study session on the 7th. They could do the 14th, but ideally they would prefer the 7th.
We don't have a meeting on the 7th though, right? Or we don't know yet?
That is currently not on the agenda. That's why we're asking the question. It's more of a, will you do the Budget Office a solid favor?
The 14th.
So this would be coming in just for the study session, no standard commission meeting.
Well, we could open it up, but yeah, currently it would only be for a study session on the 7th.
Could we move our 14th to the 7th to accommodate the Budget Office?
There are other items agendized for the 14th. That's why I didn't offer as in lieu of, unfortunately.
Question on the, a follow-up question on the 14th, or just the nature of this one. Is this the one where all the departments bring their big binder and ready to talk on any subject that we bring up?
Hopefully in the digital age, they're not bringing a big binder. But yes, this is the one where all the departments do discuss their capital improvement projects as it relates to the budget that they're proposing to council to adopt.
Right on. Thank you.
Sounds like there's a general preference to go with the 14th. Commissioner Larnois? Okay. Cool. And I think the final, Commissioner Young.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I have an item for good of the order, but I'll wait until the
Sure, we can open the floor to the public record now.
Okay, great. So we discussed a few meetings ago about Zoom access for this meeting, and we haven't heard anything back. I know that's a city clerk issue, not you guys. I'd just like to make a formal request that we get a report back from the city clerk's office. I know I get emails not infrequently from folks saying, when are we going to be able to participate on Zoom again? I know there are challenges to do virtual meetings, but I just feel like in the world we are today, that folks should be able to come in on Zoom and, so if that would be possible to get a report from the city clerk at a future meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. We've definitely reached out to the city clerk to ask the question. I don't believe we've heard back from them yet.
Have, and they say there's currently no direction to currently allow Zoom. Council hasn't directed the clerk's office to bring it back.
Well, council didn't direct the clerk's office to take it away either.
Actually, I think they may have done it. I'm just trying to think.
No, it was the clerk's decision. And I actually want to echo what Commissioner Young is saying, because the clerk removed Zoom public comment in early 2024 and said that a solution would be in place to bring it back by June of last year, and that still hasn't. We're almost to June of this year, and that still hasn't happened. So I agree with Commissioner Young that this is an issue that we should get an update on at least.
Yes, if the clerk is waiting for council direction, would definitely recommend into the minutes of this meeting that go to council forwarding this request along. Do we have any other comments or questions for the public record? All right. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn at 8:15. Thank you, everyone.